If everyone can get a seat, we're ready to go.
Hi, Lynn.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to the December 19, 2019 meeting of the Town Council of Barnstable. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilors: Biedenbender. Here. Bogan.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Cullum. Dagwan. Rep. Grissetti.
Present.
Hebert.
Present.
Levesque.
Here.
Neary.
Here.
Schnapp. Here. Shaughnessy. Here. Starr.
Here.
Steinhilper.
Here.
Revs.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This meeting is being recorded and transmitted by the Town of Barnstable and is being broadcast over Channel 18. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Subchapter 20, if anyone is planning to make an audio or video recording or transmit the meeting, they are required to notify the chair before doing so. Is anyone planning on recording, video, or taping this session? One of the main reasons we say this over and over again, it's so you also know if somebody else is taping it. So if you don't want somebody to put your face on Facebook or something, you need to know who that person would be in this room. So it's for all of our safety. Thank you very much. You would now join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. I would ask that we remember, we're remembering the Battle of the Bulge, if you keep that in your thoughts. But also there are two Upper Cape Tech students, brothers, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, who just had a serious car accident. They in pretty serious conditions. So if you keep them in your thoughts, that'd be great. And also for all people who have lost in the past a family or loved one member, that around the holidays is an extra hard time to lose someone you love. So keep that in your minds and thoughts. Thank you. Thank you very much. So for the first order of the evening, we have some certificates to give out, and so Councillor Levesque and Councillor Neary are going to assist with that. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's with great pleasure, my pleasure, to award the Mass State U18 Midget Champions that we're presenting to today. Hockey is kind of a game after, it's got a little special spot in my heart. I grew up playing it, still play with some of your dads and uncles. And it's a game that I think builds a great tradition of not only teamwork and friendship, but friendships that will last a long time. And winning a state championship is something that you will, as a group, will carry with you for a long, long time. I've had the fortune of playing hockey against some pretty decent, recognizable gentlemen, and some of the I've got a couple snippets that you might want to take with you when you go into the finals, going out to the nationals. Pass when you can, not when you have to. All right, think about that. You can't score if you don't shoot. All right, and there's no such thing as a bad pass to a good player. Got it? Okay. Yeah. But to win a state championship, it takes a lot. Sometimes it takes some fortuitous bounces. I know that happened to myself a long time ago, and you really have to play as a team. And from a town perspective, we certainly wish you well coming April, right? So you're all playing hockey right now. You're going to hopefully stay healthy, play hard, have great seasons, and then go out to California in April. So congratulations. I'm going to call you up by your numbers because that's the most important part, right? My coach didn't know any of our names. He just yelled out the numbers. So, 6, 4, 2, get out. Anyways, we'll bring the coaches up first. First, we've got Coach Chris Fredo. Where's Chris? Congratulations. Someone who happened to be a target when I played against him, Coach Mike Pasick. Good to see you, Mike. Coach Justin Jones. Okay, we got number 2, Keith Huska. Number 3, Dylan Huntington. Number 4, Jack Conway. Number 6, Chris Thorne. Yeah, stay up here. Number 7, Riley McDonald. Nice job, Riley. Number 8, William Martone. Number 9, Jack Dugway. Dugway? Is he here? Number 10, Brian Fry. Fry, apologize. Sorry, Brian. Congratulations. Number 12, Will Cogswell. Number 14, Chris Cadero. I know where you came from. Number 15, Cooper O'Neill. Number 16, Ben Baxter. Number 17, Sean Roycroft. Sean not here. Number 18, Jack Scipione. Jack. Congratulations. Number 19, Kevin Monahan. Number 20, Jack Needham. Number 99, good number, Jack Longwheel. And then a couple of important players here. These are the goalies. And again, to win a state championship, it's sometimes you really need to have a hot goalie. And from what I understand, we had 2 hot goalies. So great job. Number 1, Ezra Leary. And number 30, Connor Higgins. Hockey's great because you can play it for a long time. You just kind of make bigger circles, It doesn't beat on your knees so much. But again, Town of Barnstable, we want to congratulate you all and look forward to hopefully continuing on and faring well in the Nationals. Congratulations.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Thanks for the words. Merry Christmas.
Good to see you, Mike. How are you, man?
How you been?
Busy.
Playing still.
Still playing. Sundays, Tuesdays.
There you go. Thank you very much.
You got it. Does he? Yeah.
All right, Britt's walking away. Britt is walking away. Okay. Because I do want her to read the item again. We're going to do this before comment, in case there's anybody here for that, you know. Thank you very much, Councilors. Beautiful presentation. Much appreciated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at our last meeting, we were informed that the private proponent of item number 2020-029 had requested through its attorney, Michael Ford, that this matter be withdrawn from the council consideration. We were also informed at that time by Councilor Biedenbender that she was withdrawing her support of this item. In light of these developments, I would entertain a motion to approve the request to withdraw item 2020-029 from consideration and from the council agenda for old business. And I'm going to ask Councilor Biedenbender to please read that item.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President Hebert. You're not used to seeing me over here. So this is old business, item number 2020-029, amendment of the zoning map of the town of Barnstable to amend and expand the ground-mounted solar photovoltaic overlay district to include parcels 013-004, 013-005, and 013052. This is public hearing, roll call vote, 2/3 majority.
Thank you. We have with us, this is to withdraw, yes, okay.
Yep.
So we thank you very much. We have Attorney McLaughlin, who will submit a copy of Mr. Ford's letter for the record.
And I would just note, because this matter is being withdrawn, I would recommend that you not actually open a public hearing on this. It won't be necessary to do so. So with that, I just would like to read in, just for the record, to close out the town clerk's record on this. It's a letter from Ford and Ford Attorneys at Law, signed by Attorney Michael D. Ford, referencing this matter, and says, "Dear town councilors and planning board members, on behalf of my clients, TJA Solar, please accept this letter as a request to withdraw the proposed above referenced zoning amendment. As a result of the public hearings conducted by the planning board in this manner, TJA will be preparing a new zoning amendment which will include addition to the map amendment contained in item 2020-029, proposed revisions to the overlay district, including the requirement for a special permit from the planning board for projects proposed to be located in a residential zone, and for projects proposing battery storage. TJA Solar thanks both councilors and planning board members for their consideration of this matter to date, and look forward to working with councilors, planning board members, and town staff in creating a new proposed zoning amendment as set forth above." And it is signed Michael D. Ford. The merit in suggesting this withdrawal and starting from scratch is that the issue of appropriate location of solar throughout the town is probably ripe for an examination at this point in time, and doing so in a comprehensive manner would seem to make more sense. Number two, both the building commissioner and our office have identified a number of issues that have come to light since then, including particularly with respect to battery storage and emergency access. On the battery storage side, and with transformers and the like, there is the necessity of fluid containment a la Vineyard Wind. And even though the volumes are much smaller, they can be very damaging if released. So there's some work to be done on this matter, and obviously an ultimate policy question as to where these projects, if any, might be located in the town. So we recommend that your motion be accepted. So.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Is there any further discussion by any of the councilors? Okay, so one thing I would like to change a little bit, it makes it a little easier for the clerk, and I know it's a little change in format, but I know that we're all broken into now saying aye, no. So let's do, you can still, if you want, say aye, it's fine, or nay, but if you could raise your hand at the same time, just enough time for us to easily see how people are voting, okay? This is both a visual and an audio experience for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now I would ask for a motion to take a vote on this item. All in favor of taking the vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. And so this is a vote on item number 2020-029 for its withdrawal. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? That's unanimous. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now we're going to resume our regular schedule, and that would be for public comment. Anyone interested in giving public comment, please come forward. No, would you like, and were you here for the withdrawal? Okay, all right, so you got what you wanted, yes, okay, all right. Okay, anyone else? Seeing no one else, we're going to ask for a motion to close public comment. All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous, thank you very much. So we're going to move on to new business. Oh, no. Town Manager's report, sorry. Town Manager, Mark Ellis.
Good evening, Town Councilors. Mark Ellis, Town Manager. This is the Town Manager's update for the period of December 6th through December 19th. And happy holidays to everyone. First presentation will be by our Director of Public Works, Dan Santos. It is the monthly update on the status of the Comprehensive Water Management Plan.
Yep.
Good evening, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, members of the council. I'm Dan Santos, Director of Public Works, with your monthly comprehensive wastewater management plan update. And a number of these things you've seen in the past, but there have been things going on, even though it's a busy month for everyone. The regulatory meetings, which we have been conducting over the fall, we completed our final one, which was with the MEPA staff, which is the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act office. They are actually the group that we submit the CWMP to, and they coordinate all of the responses from the other agencies. I briefed you previously that we met with the Cape Cod Commission staff and the Department of Environmental Protection staff, both of whom did not find any significant issues with our draft that we provided them, and encouraged us to proceed. One of the important aspects of meeting with the MEPA office was to understand the format in which they wanted the submission, and it was important that we meet with them before we submit. And as a result of that, as you can see here, we'll be submitting what's called an expanded environmental notification form and a single environmental impact report. So this expanded essentially includes the environmental impact report part of it. It's not that they will come back later and ask us to conduct that. We've submitted it together. And there are a couple of good things we learned from them. One is that it's likely, given the work we've done and what they've seen of it, that they will give us a certificate for the entire 30-year plan, not just the first phase, which is great. The benefit of that is any projects that we submit in the interim will be notices of project change, or NPCs, rather than a new ENF and a new submittal. So it saves us a lot of time and effort. So I was glad to hear that. And then our non-traditional or alternative projects will be also submitted under notices of project change rather than separate ENF or EIR submittals. So that's all very good news. So we plan to, after we met with them, we learned what we need to do to package this up and what format, which we're working on now, and we will submit that by January 15th to the MEPA office, and you can see the dates here. They have 30 days basically to advertise in the Environmental Monitor, get comments, and then get a certificate back to the town, and you can see the dates that they proposed to us for that. So the modeling, which is another big aspect, which I think I briefed you last month, that we had gotten the draft report from SMAS, the folks at UMass Dartmouth that do the modeling for us, and they found that our plan did meet the requirements, and we did meet the total maximum daily loads requirement in the Clean Water Act. And we got the final report just last week, and it wasn't any different than we had previously received. We continue with public outreach just this week. We met with the Board of Health and updated them on the comprehensive wastewater management plan. We will continue to meet with others as they desire, and as we discussed last month or in the last meeting, we will continue a public participation program, and one of the major aspects of that will be during our conceptual design phase. We will be meeting with village representatives, village citizen groups, and reach out to those that may be directly impacted to get direct input from abutters and those that may be affected by this at the conceptual stage when we're making decisions. So we will share more about that as those issues come up. The Sampson's Island dredging in Katuitt, the phase 2 has now been completed, which actually went very well, and we got it done several weeks ahead of the deadline, which January 15th, we can't do dredging anymore. We got that done, and that's good news, and we have phase 3 remaining of that. On Mill Pond, the dredging project there, we will be, as I mentioned a moment ago, submitting a notice of project change on that once the CWMP is approved by MEPA. And then we continue to work on the Marston's Mills River system, which is a series of alternative methods of addressing nitrogen upstream from Mill Pond in the Marston's River system, the former cranberry bogs in the river, and with a number of alternatives. We're working with the EPA, the Nature Conservancy, Barnstable Clean Water Coalition, and the town as a kind of a public-private partnership to advance those projects, and that's going very well. In fact, there was a workshop last Friday at 4Cs on this whole issue, bringing all the stakeholders together, and that was another successful meeting. One thing I wanted to do just a little different, and I'm just going to run through these, and particularly for new counselors. We've got about $25 million worth of wastewater work out there. We are in this. We are implementing our plan, and I just wanted to touch on these, not with any explanation really, just to kind of list them, mostly for the record. And you can see here, some projects are in conceptual design, some we have final design money, and some we have construction money. So the Finney's Lane sewer expansion, the Long Pond area sewer expansion, conceptual and final design, Addicks Lane sewer extension, the Katuitt Bay channel dredging, which I mentioned we just completed, Marston's Mills School pump station and collection system. That's where we are going to be changing that treatment plant at the Marston's Mill School into a pump station and pumping that waste to Hyannis for treatment. Marston's Mills River Treatment System, wastewater pollution control, water pollution control facility. That's the effluent disposal capacity study. You may recall trying to figure out how much effluent we can dispose of on site. And then that's linked to the next project, the disposal location evaluation, because we're fairly certain we're going to need to be finding other locations for effluent disposal. And so we're in the middle of evaluating that right now. We're doing a number of improvements to the plant that will be able to carry us into the future, both for capacity and for water quality, meeting standards. Joint Base Cape Cod analysis. We continue to meet with the group, with the Department of Environmental Protection, with the EPA, with the other 4 Upper Cape towns. In fact, there was a meeting just this morning on that, and we continue that work. By the way, as you know, we submitted a joint proposal with Converge back in September, and the National Guard has not yet acted on that, and they haven't made a final decision, and it's pending, and that's all they've shared with us. Katuitt and Western Marston's Mills Sewer project, that really will look further at that and dig into that once we understand the JBCC decision. We're also looking at opportunities to work with either Mashpee and or Sandwich in a regional compact as consistent with the intermunicipal agreement we have with them. MS4, which is the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, that program required by the EPA is dealing with all the outfalls for road runoff, many of which go into water bodies, and the requirement to eliminate those. We have a long period of time over which we have to meet certain standards. We're complying with that, and we will continue to work on that. And then the Route 28 and Yarmouth Road sewering, which will be done in conjunction with the Route 28 Yarmouth Road intersection improvement by Mass DOT. Bids are coming due this month, I think next week, and then they'll be starting that project in the fall. As far as next steps, we will continue the public outreach, as I just mentioned. We'll be submitting to MEPA for review by the 15th. We will continue our work on the alternatives, working with our partnerships. We'll continue working on the projects I just shared with you, both preliminary design and final design. And then finally, we are continuing to meet with Vineyard Wind relative to the 2 projects that is really moving along, the Strawberry Hill Road project in their phase 1, and then possibilities of phase 2 work. So we continue to meet with them to understand what their schedule is, so that our design will meet with what they're doing, so those things will happen in conjunction. And that's the update for December. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Councilor Beaton.
Thank you, President Hebert. Thank you, Dan. Just a quick question. Just curious regarding Vineyard Wind. Have you heard anything new from them regarding BOEM? Are we still on that same potential fall construction phase, or is it anybody's guess at this moment in time?
Well, I can tell you what, in our meetings with them, they're hoping that the permit will get approved by the federal government in the spring, and they would like for it to happen in the fall. The town manager may have some additional information, because I know he's in constant contact with them, and if he does, I'll offer that opportunity, but that's as far as I know from Public Works.
Councilor Rappresenting.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Dan, for the update. As always,
Yes.
could I have this email to me?
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Councilor Snap.
Thank you, President Hebert, and thank you, Dan, for the presentation. Could you snap to page 2? There was a question I had, but I can't remember without a reference to. There was.
This one?
No, page 2. But, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So this is a question regarding the modeling.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that is predicated on no new significant development in the town?
No.
How does that work, and how does that model shift if we?
Well, it's very conservative in that it does incorporate a build-out analysis. So we're looking to the future throughout the phases of this project.
So it does allow for some growth in
Yes.
certain areas?
It does, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. And then, let's see, what was the other? Oh, do you anticipate any actually construction requests in our CIP coming up?
Yes, we have a number of them.
Okay, so some of those that are now in the design phases might be moving
Yes.
into the next.
Yep.
Okay,
We're,
thank you.
plotting our
Okay.
next several years,
Okay.
lining up project.
Any other councilors have questions for Director Santos? Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Ells again. I haven't heard anything different than what Director Santos reported from Vineyard Wind. I did speak to them as recently as today. So they are hopeful it'll be the spring with a construction commencing in the fall. I do believe there's a couple of announcements coming out relevant to the Phase 2 and also to some staff changes, but I think it would be a good idea in the first quarter of next year to have them in to give you an update directly. Okay? What was the other question? I was gonna share some other information, but I guess I lost my train of thought. Number 2 on my manager update, Ian Quirk is going to come up briefly to speak of update on the town census. And thank you, Ian, for coming in tonight. I had asked her ahead of time if she was going to be here, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm here." And then she said, "Well, no, I'm not."
I'm always here. Good evening, counselors.
Good evening.
Oh, do I need to bring this down a little lower? I'm a little short. Gee, this is kind of nice, seeing you from this side. As you all know, we have to do our town census every year. And that's what's coming up right now. Actually, there's going to be an insert with our census, and it's going out starting on the 30th of December. So I just want everyone aware and why we do this. Years ago, I think it was in '93, the federal government had a mandate to all states. And the mandate was for a National Voter Registration Act. And the whole point was to make sure that we were all doing our due diligence with our voter list. And the only way we can do that on a day-to-day basis is by having census. And the census goes out so that you sign it if you're still here, and if you're not still here, or if members of your family have moved on to other areas, you'll just tell us so that we can clean up our voter list and make sure it's accurate. And that's the whole point behind it. It's something we have to do every year, and if this is the minimal part of it. You'll be hearing more from us about 2020 census, which is the federal census. This is just for our town, so that in March, when we have our presidential primary election, my voter list will be accurate. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you very, very much for that great presentation, and happy holidays to you.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mark Ells, and I remembered what I was going to say. Over the next year, actually, now it's 10 months, we had made a commitment to proceed with discussing financial policy associated with the Comprehensive Water Management Plan. I had the opportunity to meet with our leadership. They have the same commitment to doing that. So we will continue those efforts on that schedule. As Director and what prompted my thought was the statement of Director Santos is that we are continuing for our 10-year implementation of this 30-year plan. If we don't, we're not going to meet that. And so to do that, we really need to close that fiscal policy piece relevant to the first 10 years, and then certainly more of a projection for phase 2 and 3, which would be years 10 through 20 and 20 through 30. Hopefully we'll revisit this every 5 and make the necessary updates to correct. But we're also going to engage not only our council through the leadership, but CFAC. To participate in this, and they have been following this and have submitted certainly even papers on suggestions for consideration. So we can take those, review them, and then bring them in at the appropriate times. So thank you. We continue with our budget. We're on schedule. We expect to be bringing you the budget as per the budget calendar. And I know our internal staff met last week to review all of the CIPs to help to organize and prioritize those very important projects that we have. We're working with Senator Sear's office, the Mass Clean Water Trust, and Department of Environmental Protection to secure any funding recently made available by the state to assist the Hyannis water systems operating, and capital costs associated with the removal of emerging contaminants, primarily PFAS. I gave you the link to that in case you want to go in and look at it. I provide a little bit of detail on the 2 primary funds, one a DEP line item, the other going to the Clean Water Trust. The Clean Water Trust administers with DEP the state revolving funds, and we are eligible for and have received clean water funds and for the major capital improvements we've made in the Hyannis water system. So what our hopes are is that additional principal subsidy or reduction of the interest rate on these loans when they go long term will assist us further. And so I'm in discussions both with the trust and also with DEP, because on the DEP piece, I'm not clear on how they're going to administer those funds. It's a little bit less money, $4.2 million, but certainly the town of Barnstable has led the state in proactively addressing these issues, and the state recognizes that, and they appreciate that. And so we are very active in discussions about how these will be distributed. They're only good through June 30th, so we want to make sure of next fiscal year. So we want to make sure that if we've done work already and it can be eligible, that we might get reimbursement, or the continued work that we do. We have eligible costs in every category. They're unclear on how they're going to administer it, but they are, and Senator Sear's office is in constant communication with us on these issues. It becomes even more in the forefront in my mind as our water board has submitted a letter to me summarizing these costs, and also concerned about rate hikes in the future for our users, both residential and commercial, on the system. So they're very sensitive to price increases and any potential revenues we can bring in to help augment this. So we are very actively pursuing them, and I wanted you to know that. The prior bullet is just a reminder that we continue our work at the Mary Dunn Well and over on the Fish and Wildlife and on many other parcels around the town as we look at existing wells for rehabilitation and as we look to new well sites in the future. So I'll just keep you advised as we progress on that. The Department of Environmental Protection job is to develop and maintain statewide master plan for solid waste management. I've been reporting this now for a couple of months. The agency updates on a 10-year cycle. We've been actively engaged in September of this year, reviewing the draft 3030 solid waste master plan, and participated in the public comment. Mass DEP accepted public comment through Friday, December 6th. Our staff attended the Mass DEP Southeast Regional Office public hearing on November 19th and submitted comments on the draft plan on December 6th, and I've attached our comments for your review. In response to our continued need to improve communication, and in conjunction with my senior staff, I plan to move forward during the first quarter of 2020 with the internal reorganization of my existing workforce to create a Director of Communications position and supporting staff under the direct oversight of the Town Manager's Office. The primary role of this position includes being responsible for managing and directing our organization's internal and external communications efforts. This position, in coordination with the Town Manager, will supervise public relations, create communication strategies, and may serve as a key media contact for the organization when appropriate. I do not anticipate any supplemental budget requests or action by the Town Council at this time, as we have those resources, and it's more a reorganization that I would be looking to achieve here. I've heard a lot about our certainly within our strategic plan, two top areas of consideration are sound finance and communication. And so this allows us to more clearly focus on better communication internally and externally, and to maximize the use of those resources that we do have. I believe we have staff internal to our organization that can fulfill these roles, and it really is, as your town manager, my job to reorganize these in a manner that best utilizes them to achieve that purpose. So my intent is to have accomplished that by the end of the first quarter of next calendar year. I'll keep you briefed as I progress on it. On December 4th, 2019, I received communication from our legal department that the school committee voted to declare the former Katuitt Elementary School is no longer being used for educational purposes and to revert back to the custody and control of the town. Department of Public Works has commenced investigation of the site and secured the building. As it is now a municipal asset, we are conducting a preliminary assessment of the facility and plan to bring forward recommendations on next steps at this facility, which will include close communication with Town Council and the Village of Katuitt to ensure appropriate use of the asset. I do anticipate bringing forward a supplemental appropriation request for FY 2020, this fiscal year, to Public Works operating budget for utilities, maintenance, and security of the facility. We have been out there. We have looked at this facility. We do need to maintain this facility. And depending on the uses, both really specifically short term, the grounds are in bad shape, the playground is dangerous and needs to come out, and the building needs to be maintained in a secured manner so that it doesn't become problematic. That just doesn't happen. The fortunate part is I don't believe we'll need to go into our cash reserves. I believe that there is monies that have come with this school that were brought in. They certainly won't cover major capital improvements, but they will allow us to maintain this in the interim, and whatever the remaining balance might be can certainly put toward other future efforts. And I'll leave that to the advice of Director Santos and Director Milne as we progress on both doing the work and then having to fund the work. But I expect I'll be bringing that into you in January. In May 2019, the town of Barnstable, as a municipal partner with the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, has been awarded, and the town council accepted, a $1 million grant in support of the Expedition Blue project from the Commonwealth Seaport Economic Council grant program. These funds will be used to create a regional maritime heritage experience trail. And we had said at the time, and thankfully Wendy Northcross is here with us tonight, of the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce to provide us an update. So that concludes my town manager update. I don't know if you want to ask me any questions about anything I've gone over, and then I'll invite Wendy Northcross to come up and do her presentation.
Councilor Biedenbender.
Thank you, President Hebert. Not so much a question, just want to say thank you so much. I'm thrilled that you're working on the communications piece, and really pleased that you're also just doing it from an internal perspective. You've got the talent on staff, and I think that's great that you're doing that, and it's so well needed. Just a side note, DPW Director Santos had submitted a letter to the editor, which was, it was so great to read it just because it was informative, educational, probably put a lot of people's fears at bay, just some explanatory stuff. But obviously, we're not going to be able to get a letter to the editor every single time we have something that we want to explain. So this is really fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Neary?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just thank you for your report, Mark, but I just wanted to congratulate you on another decade of service here for the town, 30 years. So,
Oh, thank you.
Shout out.
Appreciate that.
Councilor Snap?
Thank you, Mr. President Hebert, and thank you for the report, Mark. Just a question. We've had a lot of extreme rain events of late, and I know that there have been some roadways that have been flooded, and some of that might be due to failing, catchment areas, but some may just be, we just don't have the capacity under our current stormwater system. Is any of the work that's being done for MS4 going to be addressing some of these issues?
Well, probably not directly, but yes, certainly on the improvement of drainage systems. That's really looking at where our drainage goes and what impacts does it have, and then kind of categorically based on the type of drainage, they're looking for us to address certain types of drainage that have certain impacts within a time frame. It also looks for us to adopt different rules and ordinances and by different time frames within the community. Yes, we have high groundwater right now. We have coming into the spring season. Yes, we are receiving complaints, and we have been since the spring from our residents, especially around Lake Wequaquet and now around Long Pond and other areas of town. This is high groundwater, and our lake levels are directly linked to the groundwater level, and therefore we will see more flooding in basins. I think a lot of what you see this time of year might just be a field catch basin, but when you throw the leaves into it, the fall with heavy rains is always a tough time for road flooding. And then now we're into the season where it might freeze.
Right.
So if you have leaves wet and it freezes, that's a tough. DPW are real busy when that happens. We know it's real for all of our residents that are listening. Either text us, email us, call it in, or if you feel comfortable doing it, don't do it if you can't, but take a rake and pull the leaves off the basin and see what happens. That's really helpful. And then let us know, but that's really helpful. It happens all over the place.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. Wendy, it's your show.
It's good to know. I was kicking leaves off of the catch basins on 6A this weekend.
Be careful.
I know. Very careful. Good evening. So I'm Wendy Northcross, CEO at the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, and honored to come to speak to you tonight and give you an update on a very exciting project that we have partnered with the town of Barnstable. And we're hoping to capture this presentation and share it actually with the other towns that are participating in the project. So I'm going to be, I have a lot of slides, but I'm going to try to be ripping through them because I think the best place to start is at the beginning. And hopefully the clicker works. So the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce is nearly 100 years old. 100 years ago, it was formed primarily to become a regional economic development agency with the goal of creating a travel and tourism industry on Cape Cod. I think we did that. It's almost 100 years later. Our board went into a strategic planning discussion to say, what do the next 100 years hold? As we see new opportunities, new ways to diversify our economy, new ways to retain our young families and create jobs, family-sustaining wages, but what does that look like? What is it actually going to be? So the net result of that was actually something that we've called the blue economy. I love this slide because it shows you in one picture the 400-year history of how, since colonization, we've earned a living on Cape Cod. And it started with the native population, went into a production era. Our founders were farmers, but then they finally turned to the sea. And then when that sort of ended being really profitable, we turned to travel and tourism. We're now looking into the next century to take us to a blue economy, which is largely centered on water. We've done a lot of statistical analysis. We've actually measured what we have here in our blue economy region, which is the 2 islands of Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, the 15 towns in Barnstable County, and we're also partnering with the town of Plymouth and the town of Wareham. But here in Barnstable County, we've counted at least 20,000 jobs in over 1,800 businesses with gross revenue of $1.4 billion annually. I might note that travel and tourism generates $1.3 billion in direct spending every year. But what we have here is actually much larger in terms of a blue economy than other parts of the state have. But we also have 1,000 miles of coastline if you look at Cape Cod, the islands, and Plymouth. So we have quite an asset to leverage into a new economy. We're calling it the century of the ocean, and we're hoping to really leverage that. We know that water has been our past, our present, and we're hoping that it will in fact be our future. We've come up with 4 major themes for our blue economy plan, including growing a vibrant marine and technology economy, linking the health of our environment to the health of our economy, and coming up with a prepared and educated workforce for the future. And some of the ongoing initiatives in order to achieve those goals are we launched a Blue Economy Foundation so we can raise funds from other sources that we can't normally achieve. We're seeking a federal grant now for a Blue Wheelhouse. It's an innovation incubator. We have STEM partnerships with the regional schools, Expedition Blue, I'm going to tell you more about in a minute. We've done an annual student perception survey. We ask our students, what do you want to be when you grow up? The answers are very, very fascinating. We actually ask them also, how are you influenced by this decision? And it's the parents have a huge role to play here. So we have a student perception that there's not a lot of great jobs on Cape Cod. We know that's not true. We have to change that perception, but some of this may start with changing the beliefs of the parents. We have done a complete Did You Know series talking to communication. It's very important that people understand what the blue economy is and what the opportunities are. And Waterworks, which is happening on the 7th of January at Cape Cod Community College. Over 370 students from the regional high schools will be convening at Cape Cod Community College and learning more about the blue economy, getting hands-on experiences with over, how many is it, like 44, I think, 42 exhibitors with over 90 people participating. If you want to stop by sometime during the day, we'd love to see you. So Expedition Blue, this is our very exciting grant that we received to basically help everyone understand what the blue economy is. It's a physical, structural, constructed, it's like a construction loan that we've received. We're going to build elements of it all across the Cape and Islands, but really the goal for the project is to help people get their head around what the heck a blue economy is. We want to actually show them in very specific ways by putting them in a place and telling them what they're looking at, but we're also going to be serving up information digitally. But we want them to understand that we are truly working for a sustainable future in our economy and also enriching our environment. So the thing that's really been interesting, the Cape Cod Blue economy is being very well embraced, but still really hard to explain to people. And we're trying to identify something that's never been identified before. So how do you do that? Well, we've hired some experts to help us unleash the power of the blue economy and make it known explicitly to the general public and partner organizations, and anybody that's happening to walk by or visit the Cape are going to learn more just because they've come across Expedition Blue. We're going to engage the public in the process of citing these blue economy places, and then we're going to help them understand what they're looking at. So again, to reiterate, our Blue Economy region is the 2 islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. In fact, Leslie Ann McGee, our project manager, is on Martha's Vineyard tonight giving this very similar presentation. We have partnerships across southeastern Mass and Plymouth and in Wareham, and we're really tying this together, explaining that water is a way of life. So here what we've envisioned Expedition Blue to be is more of a place than a kiosk, more of a front porch where you can sit and observe something and learn something. It's also going to be an anchor for regional identity and something that we can make adaptable depending on what part of the Cape we're locating a structure. We have done a lot of research. We've had our design team comb the Cape and Islands looking for inspiration, looking for what's sort of the vernacular feeling on Cape Cod. Is it gray shingle? Is it a small hut? Does it have a porch? We've even gone back to a historical inspiration. The Humane Society had life-saving huts. They were sprinkled all across the Cape. They were small places where people could get out of the storm, either because they were shipwrecked or the people that were trying to help those that were shipwrecked. So this is a bit of a nod to our history, but certainly using the innovation of these hut-type structures. We've created a design process. We're using the town of Barnstable as our pilot. So we have worked pretty extensively with your staff, and Gloria has been great to work with in your planning department. We've had tremendous input from the town of Barnstable. We have looked at whether there are, multiple sites or just one site. We've kind of determined sites for the town of Barnstable. But right now, as of today, you're looking at task 1 through task 6. We're at the task 1 stage. So working with the town of Barnstable on the pilot program, we're kind of inventing how we're going to spread this across the rest of the region, how we're going to introduce to each community the opportunity to host one of these structures, and how to place it and what story needs to be told and what design you'd like to see. So here's a really good example. Here, we view this really as a kit of parts. So everything from, you see the XX small, that's literally a post with a slot in it that can be placed somewhere that will focus the eye on a very specific thing, maybe across a harbor or across a pathway. You have everything from a single wall with a narrow window in it to an 8-foot by 8-foot cube made with aged wood but steel beams. So we're using some of the old with some of the new, with very weather-resistant products that are designed to last 50 years. All the module sizes are made to be interchangeable, so you could have everything from this one post to the extra large, which could be 4 units, 30 feet long. And the combinations, think of it as like a Lego set. You could mix and match depending on what you were trying to do. Do you want benches? Do you want shade? Do you want handicap accessibility? But really, the units become a hub so that it directs your eye towards something, it directs your walking path towards another thing, and all the time you're learning something about the location and what you're looking at. They're designed to be attractive just by the sheer interest alone. People might say, what is this? Stumble upon it, sit down, it's like, oh, Blue Economy. Oh, I didn't realize there was a robust ferry system running out of this port or this harbor. It's really just to try to engage people and to help them understand that there'll be a trail of these across the region, so that you'll be enticed to go find the next story. So Expedition Blue is not designed to be a look back at our history, although it will honor our history. It's not a museum. It's not passive. It's a physical place, yes, but it's not a kiosk. It's more of a porch. It's going to have an ever-changing digital story. It will give people something to participate with, and we hope it will launch them on an expedition, not to only learn about what they're looking at in that particular site, but the entire region. So that's what each town will hear. For you tonight, I'm going to go real quickly through the Barnstable engagement package. This is the results of the work that we did with your town and what we heard the town of Barnstable was looking for. There's been a focus on Hyannis Harbor. We're looking at certain sectors that you want to highlight, including tourism, transportation, renewable living. We heard things that you want to help tell stories about, including the old Colony Railroad tracks, the harbor, maybe the Scudder and Baxter family, certainly about the boat building, commercial fleet, and your ferry fleet. We heard about the views that you want to feature and some of the assets that you think are important for this storytelling. We've heard, whether or not you have surveys that we can use. We're depending heavily on the resources of each community and the community's planning departments and databases. We know what your permitting approval processes are from the Historic District for Main Street all the way down to the Conservation Commission. We've also worked with you to cite your preference here at Hyannis Harbor. So the value of the installation plan for the town of Barnstable exceeds $100,000. Out of $1 million grant, you're going to get the biggest chunk. And you've got a very ambitious siting for this particular piece of the expedition. With an Azleton Park will have the larger structure, and then you'll be led along the Hyannis Harbor, probably looking for the next blue post that will direct your eye and take you to the next story about the activity that's happening on the Hyannis Harbor. And you'll see certain posts here, you'll see the dotted lines will pretty much show you what your eye is going to be directed to or what the story is that's going to be told. This is an example that we've done so you can imagine. This is in Bismarck Park, near the public restrooms. This could be another example. We know maps will be important we're trying to not put a lot on these physical structures. Again, there'll be a digital designed information system, a responsive website. But here's a close-up of just that one post with the slot in it, the brand. We're working on a Expedition Blue brand. That X that you see there is our prototype at the moment. But literally leading you from place to place and engaging you to go on an expedition. Our interpretive toolkits also include flags. We might have extra things like hanging nets. We have a landscape plan that's going along with this. We're trying to make it extremely bulletproof. We're trying to make it extremely easy to care for, because when we are done with the design, the siting, we'll fabricate these off-site, we'll deliver them to the site and install them. But when we're done, we are going to gift them to the town of Barnstable for you to maintain. Your responsibility also in this grant process is to do the permitting. You're going to issue your own permits. We're going to cover the costs of literally everything else. We're probably going to hand you a landscape design rather than impose a landscape plan on you. We want to make sure your DPW is comfortable in maintaining whatever it is that we finally decide. But really what we need from you today, this is a summary checklist of where we need to go, but what we need from you today is a commitment. We've already agreed to accept the grant, but before we start building these, we want to be absolutely sure the town of Barnstable is committed to the process of helping with the permitting, helping with the maintenance, and accepting the entire project as a gift at no cost to you. And I think that's the end of the slides. Happy to answer any questions. If you have a question I can't answer, I brought Bert Jackson with me. He's our director of community outreach and has been working with a lot of the towns. So happy to answer any questions.
Councilors, questions? Councilor Dagwan.
Yes, thanks, Wendy. This is fantastic. You talked a little bit about the history and getting some of the history of some of the families that are involved. And I was wondering, are you also looking into the minority community as well, in terms of we have a strong historic background with the Native Americans and Cape Verdeans here on the Cape. I'm African American, but there's a strong Cape Verdean presence here, and has been here for a long time. So.
And it's a great story. I would imagine so. We are, like I said, at phase 1, and the beauty of this project is we can do almost unlimited storytelling because of the digital platform. But yes, I promise you that we will.
Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Wendy, for that presentation. I'm curious, when you referred to that you or the staff surveyed the town for input, how was that survey done? I was not privy to that.
So we've worked very closely with your planning and economic development staff and have used their assets in terms of the information that they have relative to, say, the sites. So we actually started with an application process of recommend sites that you think would be interesting for us to look at, and we've kind of winnowed down what sites are. And then after that, there has been a discernment through the physical data collection, but we've also worked. Bert, I'm not sure what public process there was after the, or maybe Gloria would know. So were there public processes? We met with the towns. We had sites that were proposed. Why didn't you come to the mic? I wasn't there at the meeting, so I can't speak to that.
Thank you. So we had a public portal for the town to input information about sites. And Councilor Dagwan, to your question, we are asking the town also to provide stories for us. So we would encourage you to, working through Gloria to make sure that those stories are part of that, because we're really counting on the town to be part of the storytelling process. So the process included a portal, an online portal. There was information that was collected, and since then we've had at least one meeting with Gloria and the staff here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I believe, to talk about some of the parameters.
Thank you.
Probably be a lot more coming.
Yes.
When it comes to content, perhaps there could be some consideration for the shellfishing community.
I'm not surprised to hear that from you.
Thank you.
You being my counselor and all.
Councilor Biedenbender.
Thank you. The map that you showed us showed locations for Hyannis focused structures. Are we open to the possibility of having something in Katuitt or Centerville? I mean, in Precinct 4, for example, there was a shipbuilding, quite a robust shipbuilding industry right in Centerville Harbor. And as you know, Main Street is all sea captains' homes. So just curious if it's Hyannis-centric or there is an idea that it would expand to the 7 villages.
There were multiple sites that were recommended for Barnstable. We do have some criteria. This has to be on municipal land. And if you think about what we're doing is we're inviting people to, we'll be driving people to these sites too. So you have places in your community that you probably don't want to invite the world to in the same way. I mean, you have sacred places that maybe have great stories that still can be told, but the physical, what's the parking like? What's the pedestrian access like? Are there bike racks? I mean, all of that has kind of factored into some of the final decision making for this town. Yeah, there were some great sites that were recommended. I don't know if we're totally over that. What you've asked for Hyannis Harbor, again, it's 10% of the entire grant. So I don't know how many more. One footnote. If there is a private industry, private business owner or private property owner that wants to have their own, we can provide all the specs and they can purchase at their own expense one of these, and we will add that to the trail.
Councilor Rapcossetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Wendy and Mr. Jackson. So obviously you've been in close communication with Melissa Chartrand, I would think, because this ties in pretty directly to the Discovery Walk that has just seen some installations by artists, and which is great. So I noticed on your map you did highlight the north side. Is there a thought to go to Sandy Neck or perhaps somewhere in that location?
There had been some north side sites recommended, Barnstable Village specifically. I think we ran into some size constraints or parking access constraints, but I don't know if that's a final decision. Is Hyannis Harbor like the final decision, I believe?
You might want to come up to the mic,
Maybe come to.
Gloria.
So there were several sites recommended in Barnstable, and there was a kind of a winnowing down. So I'm going to ask Gloria to just.
Okay. So we were given hi everyone. I'm Gloria McPherson. I'm the Planning and Economic Development Coordinator. I think this is actually my first time in front of the whole council, although I think I know several of you. So I came into this back in July when I started, and we were given a list of criteria to fill out with various ideas for sites in the town. And it included various aspects of the blue economy, shipbuilding, fishing, aquaculture. I want to say there were about 9 or 10 different criteria. And we had an interdisciplinary team from the town. It was Melissa from Arts and Culture, me and Mike, while he was still here, from Economic Development, Liz also from Planning with the parking and transportation component to it, David Anthony, Lynn Poyant. So we had various departments looking at this, and we thought of various sites throughout town. We looked at 3 Bays, we looked at the Custom House, we looked at Barnstable Harbor, we looked at Hyannis Harbor. I want to say there was another one too that's slipping my mind right now. And then we basically went down this matrix and checked off all of the things that applied, and we narrowed it down to the Custom House site and Hyannis Harbor. And I think that as the architectural firm got into the stories that we were telling at each of those things, I think they saw a really great opportunity at Hyannis Harbor because it's all municipally owned, or almost all, and it really already has that kind of linear trail feeling. So it was possible for them to experiment with various sizes and configurations all in one location, which is a great opportunity for Barnstable because we were supposed to only get one installation, and we've maxed this out as much as we could. And it's a great opportunity for the other towns on the Cape as they're starting to think about what they want to do and where they want to do it. They'll have various models right in Hyannis to look at.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
So one of the things that's important to think about, that we're thinking about as we're working on this network, is we're looking forward. So we recognize that the history of the blue economy in the region is very important, but we are looking forward. What is going to be our future with the blue economy? What's going to be the future for the next generation that's coming along? The blue economy project in general is a multi-generational project, which is why we're working with kids in grades 6 through 9, as well as high school kids and beyond. So when we're making site selections, if it's purely historical, then that doesn't really fit the criteria that we're looking for. We're looking for sites where there's future, and Hyannis Harbor certainly fits that. There's so much that's going to be happening there over the next 10, 20, 30 years, and that's why we're supporting that.
Any other councilors' question? Well, thank you very much. Wonderful
Thank you. So
presentation.
again, just to reiterate, so we're going to ask you to do your own permitting process and sign a commitment letter. Say, yes, we will accept this as a gift when it's done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, councilors, I don't know if we expected to have nothing tonight. We're okay on that. Okay. So, thank you. We'll work on that. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mark. Thank you. Nice presentation. Okay, that concludes our manager's comments. If we could now go to, I think it's the minutes, right? So if Vice President Rappacetti could help us with the acting on the minutes, please.
Yes, Mr. President, make a motion that we accept the Town Council meeting minutes of December 5th, 2019 as written.
I have a first, I have a second. All in favor? Aye. And that's any abstentions? Okay, thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to new business. Oh, communications. That's the exciting thing we have all been waiting for. Let me see if I can read this correctly. Okay, communications from elected officials, boards, committees, staff commission reports, correspondence, and announcements. Councilor Biedenbender.
Me again. Thank you. So in the bucket of lose the battle but win the war, yesterday Division of Mass Fish and Wildlife outlawed wildlife killing contests. So there will be no more coyote killing contests in the town of Barnstable, which I'm very pleased about on a large level for the conservation of nature and keeping our ecosystems in balance and respecting life of sentient species, but also I consider this a real black mark on the town of Barnstable, so I'm really happy that Mass Fish and Wildlife stepped up, did the right thing. It was a coalition of conservation organizations and some real hard grassroots efforts on local citizens writing, going to public meetings, public comment, and it shows that if you do it, it can happen. So that was a great thing that happened yesterday.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements? Councilor Snap.
Thank you. I just wanted to make mention that tonight at 5 o'clock at the Federated Church in Hyannis was the homeless memorial service, and every year, and it's usually on the shortest day of the year to represent the challenges for those who don't have a home, what it's like to survive. And this service remembers and commemorates the deaths of those who were homeless or formerly homeless who have died in the last year. And today there were 35 individuals that were recognized. It was a very moving service, and I wanted to make a special note that Lieutenant Jen Ellis presented she actually presented an essay written by Carlton Pocknet, who is a homeless individual, his remarks about Sergeant Jason Sturgis, thank you, who passed away earlier this year. It probably was, at least for me, the most impactful part of the entire service, as she both recognized the contributions of Sergeant Sturgis, but also her call to action for those who may be struggling in our community, that if they have a second chance, they should grab it, as Sergeant Sturgis did not have one. So I left the service very deeply moved, and I know that President Hebert was able to make it. It wasn't well publicized. I only heard about, even though I know when it usually occurs, I hadn't heard much about it until I saw it in the paper. And I will ask the organizers to make sure that all members of the council are aware of the service if you want to attend next year.
Thank you very much. Any other councilors? Right. So in a way of looking forward into the future, my hope is that all of our committees that are actively working will take just a short few moments to report on the activity within your committee and what's a burning issue within your committee, what you're working towards, so that the public is always informed and we inform each other of what activities are going on within all of our committees. The work that we do is often dependent upon how effective our committee work is. So it's not just to use up time and space. It's for us to learn, to grow, to research, and then to report back to all of us. Because committees don't make decisions. Committees advise this council, and then you make the decision based on the information that you're provided, and you get to ask questions and direct the conversation. So thank you very much. So going forward, I hope that we can see an expansion of reporting on a regular basis. Thank you very, very much. Wonderful. Okay, I think now that we are prepared to go on to our new business for the evening. So I would ask Councilor Snep to read into the record item number 2020-068, and this is going to be to refer to a public hearing for January 23rd.
I will do so. This is an item of new business to refer to a public hearing on 1/23/2020. Item 2020-068, appropriation and transfer order in the amount of $2.5 million in community preservation funds to increase the number and availability of community housing units in the town of Barnstable.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments, questions on the part of the council? No? Okay, we're just going to refer it to, okay. So this is a vote to refer to a public hearing, item number 2020-068, for a public hearing on January 23rd, 2020. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. None opposed? Any opposed? Thank you very much. It's unanimous. Thank you. I'd ask Councilor Clark, please, to read into the record item number 2020-069, and this may be acted upon this evening.
Item 2020-069, authorization to accept, contract for, and expend a grant in the amount of $23,570 from Mass Wildlife's Habitat Management Grant Program.
We have a second. Okay, thank you. We're going to open this up for, this is not public comment, but you're good, you're presenting? Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, President and councilors. I'm Darcy Carley. I am the Conservation Administrator, and I'd like to ask for the acceptance of the Mass Wildlife Habitat Management Grant Program Award. This is in the amount of $23,570, and it's for prescribed burning in the effort to improve our pitch, pine, and oak woodland habitat in West Barnstable Conservation Area. We're hoping that we'll be burning between 25 and 100 acres. Last year we burned 63 acres. And without fire, large areas of forest within the West Barnstable Conservation Area would revert to a single successional stage, reducing overall biodiversity. And habitat would significantly improve. Treating habitat will target for some of the game species and species of greatest conservation need. And this will improve our hunting areas. And West Barnstable was also identified in the 2012 Barnstable County Wildfire Preparedness Plan as an extreme wildfire risk area. So that's why we continue to burn in there. The Conservation Division, we've been involved in control burning since 2005. We burn in Crocker Neck Conservation Area and West Barnstable Conservation Area. And with me tonight is our conservation agent, Edwin Hoops. He deserves the credit for working and preparing the grant, and will be managing this grant along with our burn boss. So if you have any technical questions, he can answer those. And thank you.
Any councilors' questions from?
Hello, Darcy.
Hi.
What you're talking about the pine oak forest going to succession into a mature forest? Would that be like beech? What I mean, is there? You don't want it to go to a mature forest, is what you said.
Well, do you want to explain that?
Explain it. Sorry. It's okay.
Good evening, councilors. So the idea here is to actually, you don't allow it to go fully to the full mature forest, but you're trying to maintain a mosaic of different successional stages, so that you're providing different opportunities for different species, so you thereby increase biodiversity.
Okay. So it's not the whole, so you're not burning the whole, the whole West Barnstable. So
No,
there are parts that you're going to leave to grow.
Okay. No, unless there would be a very bad disaster. That's right. No, it's up to 100 acres. It's just going to be varies depending on the weather conditions at the time. So, but we're hoping between 20 and 100 acres.
So is it north of the airport, or?
It'll be west of the airport.
Okay.
So it's the area that's generally almost in the very center of the conservation area.
Okay. Okay. Good. Thanks.
Okay. All in favor of moving the question? Aye.
Thank you. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Same to you. Thank you very much. Yes, yeah. Okay. So now we'd like to vote on the item number 2020-069. All in favor of this motion, signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
That's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much.
Okay, next.
Okay. Now I'd ask Councilor Starr if he could please take us into item number 2020-069.
Okay.
What's that? 070. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
So this is new business, may be acted upon tonight. Item 2020-070, authorization to accept contract for and extend a grant in the amount of $14,300 from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection for the purpose of enhancing waste reduction programs.
All in
It's
favor of
mattresses,
that,
right?
No. Hi, Dan.
Hi,
Thank you.
Dan Santos, Director of Public Works. Have with me tonight PJ Kelleher, who's the Supervisor of the Solid Waste Division. Town has been awarded a $14,300 grant from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection under their Recycling Dividends Program. The grant award was made because specific programs and policies the town has implemented to maximize reuse, recycling, and waste reduction. The acceptance of this grant will allow the Solid Waste Division in the town to enhance its waste reduction programs through the acquisition of recycling containers, recycling carts and recycling bins, waste reduction and/or recycling outreach and education materials, and other related expenses authorized in the Recycling Dividends Program contract. There's no impact to the town's operating budget and no matching requirement associated with this grant. Previous years, we have bought recycling bins. We set up our food waste program and developed marketing and educational materials. We don't have a specific requirement or plan for this year's fund yet. As you probably heard, there's a lot of flux both in the solid waste and in the recycling, and I think we're going to, over the next couple of months, figure out where we need to focus our energies in these funds, most likely in educational information to improve the quality of the recyclables that we do collect, and maybe focus more on the schools this year and getting some programs up and going there.
Any other questions? Second. All in favor? Aye. So all in favor of moving of item number 2020-070. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. May I ask Councilor Shaughnessy to read in item number 2020-071.
Thank you. This is new business which may be acted on by majority vote. This is item number 2020-071. Authorization to accept, contract for, and expend a grant in the amount of $154,140 to the Barnstable Council on Aging Division from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs to support staff salaries and programs of the Barnstable Adult Community Center.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. Lynn Poyant, Director of Community Services for the town. This grant is based on the 2010 federal census. 2020, we will have a new census coming out, and we believe that these numbers will increase. But based upon the 2010 census, the number of older adults, which is classified as 60 and older, was 12,845. The Commonwealth gives us $12 per older adult at that age, which is the total of $154,140. The formula grant assists with staffing. Specifically, it fully funds the activity coordinator, the marketing and events coordinator, and also partially funds our transportation coordinator, our part-time van driver, part-time division assistant, and custodial positions. The formula grant funds are also used to offset operating expenses, including our newsletter mailings, our program supplies, and repairs and maintenance to our vehicles. We are extremely grateful to the Executive Office of Elder Affairs and the Commonwealth for their continued support with this grant. There is no immediate financial impact to the town's budget based upon the acceptance of this grant. However, should this grant get reduced in any way, shape, or form, we would either have to come to the council for general fund support, or positions or programs would need to be eliminated.
Are there any questions? Comments? Move the question? Okay, thank you very much. So this is to move the question 2020-071. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much. That was to move the question. Okay, now we'll take the vote on the question, which again is item number 2020-071, and this is to accept a grant in the amount of $154,140. I will now ask for all in favor. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is now unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would ask Councilor Dagwan to please read in to the record item number 2020-072.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 2020-072, authorization to accept contract for and expend a fiscal year 2020 traffic enforcement grant from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, the Office of Grant and Research, Highway and Safety Division in the amount of $16,000 for the purpose of conducting specific types of traffic enforcement mobilization, and this may be acted upon. And a majority vote.
Thank you, Chief, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Chief Sonovan from the Barnstable Police Department here to speak to item number 2020-072, an authorization to accept the contract for and expend a fiscal year 2020 traffic enforcement grant from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security in the amount of $16,000. This grant comes in phases. The ultimate amount is $16,000, but the initial award is $12,000. What the grant will allow us to do, it goes directly to the traffic division and pays for the overtime and services to conduct traffic enforcement activities. And there's 5 major activities that are listed here in the grant. The winter impaired driving focus, which runs from about December 10th to January 20th. A speed enforcement, which runs from March 6th to 22nd, 2020, and then from June to July 2020. A distracted driving portion, which runs from April 1st to 30th, 2020. A click it or ticket portion, which runs May 14th to the 31st, 2020, and a summer impaired driving focus, which runs in August 2020. The analysis, the $16,000 of this grant is allocated entirely to traffic enforcement, and this grant will allow us to continue these important mobilizations. This grant entirely funds the overtime costs of conducting the 5 mobilizations, and there is no required match, and the overtime costs of the grant will be reimbursed following the completion of each mobilization. And like I said, the amount can go up to about $16,000, but no more.
Thank you very much. Vice President Rapcorsetti, please.
Thank you, Chief. Actually, I think I saw some of your police officers doing this at the West End Rotary recently, maybe checking seatbelts or...
Do seatbelts, yield signs, things like that. Sometimes we go out and do our own things.
Yeah.
These are specific mobilizations that the state requires you to participate in to be in part of the grant, and they'll announce. That's why there's specific dates to it.
Okay.
Like they'll have a distracted driving. They put out stuff statewide, literature out to let people know that it's coming, and departments participated in it around the state, specifically on those dates everywhere.
Also, on behalf of the council, I want to express my concern and send our regards to the police officer that was injured on duty at police detail in Marston's Mills recently.
I thank you very much. He has been receiving a lot of phone calls, and we've gotten a few cards, and he's very appreciative of the public support and from the council and from other members around the community that have reached out to him. It helps a lot. It's hard sitting there and recovering from those injuries, and it's tough, but he really appreciates it, and we thank you as well.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Councilor Levesque. So this is for item number 2020-072 in the amount of $16,000 to accept the grant. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Now we call upon Councilor Levesque to do item number 2020-073, reporting on the Appointments Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I get started, I'd like to bifurcate for the Recreation Commission, the appointment of Nicholas Atzelis. This is due to the fact the Recreation Chair, Joseph O'Brien, requested that if it was possible that we could install Mr. Atzelis after one reading due to the fact that they're having quorum issues, and it would help if he was available for the January meeting.
Do I have a second? Thank you very much. So what we want to do right now is to vote to separate or bifurcate Nicholas Atzelis from this the group. All in favor of that? Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank you very much. So moved. Now you're going to read the rest of the story.
So first, I'm going to, because we bifurcated it, I'm going to just recommend that for the Recreation Commission, I move forward Nicholas Atzelis of Centerville, Massachusetts, as a regular member to the Recreation Commission to his term expiring June of 2022.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? Comment?
Mr. President, I think we may have to vote to suspend the rules.
Okay, that's a good point. So, because we're suspending the rule, we don't normally do this, but on special needs.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules so we can vote on Mr. Atzelis' nomination tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All in favor of closing? Oh, I'm sorry, suspending the rules. Did you have a question? That's your. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Do we have to renumber it? No?
No.
Okay, just ask. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to vote.
Suspend first.
Okay, so that's what we're doing now. Right now, we're voting to suspend the rules so that we can separate this one client. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now, do we vote on this one item right now? Okay. So right now, we're going to vote on the acceptance of Nicholas Atzelis on Recreation Commission for a term expiring 06/2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And now,
as a first reading, item number 2020-073 is appointments to a board, committee, commission. Resolved that the town of Barnstable Council appoints the following individuals to a multi-member board, committee, or commission. Airport Commission, John G. Flores, of Comaquid, Massachusetts, as a regular member to a term expiring 6/2021. Land Acquisition and Preservation Committee, I move to appoint Douglas Payson of Barnstable Village as a regular member to a term expiring June of 2020. Planning Board, Amy Guthinger of Centerville, Massachusetts, as a regular member to a term expiring June of 2021. And that's it.
Second.
thank you very much. So now we're going to be voting that this would be referred to the second reading and a vote on January 9th, 2020. Second. We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. Now we need to, that closes the items for the order of the day. We're going to move to approval of the town council calendar of meetings, which is all in your packet.
I didn't see that.
Did everybody receive that?
It's all right.
Yep. Yeah. Vice President Rep Cressetti.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the Town Council meeting calendar of 2020 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any questions, comments? Move the question. All those in favor of accepting the calendar as proposed for 2020 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And there was another piece in here, but was there something else we needed to approve? Guess not. No? Yeah, so if you have not received them already, you should be receiving through your email all of the final, well, shall I put it this way, all the liaisons have been identified that we have volunteers for at this time. We also, you should be receiving, with the exception of one committee that well, two committees that I'm working on, you should receive also your designation and what committees you've been asked to work on. So when I say asked, nobody is being forced to be on a committee. We will be creating some more committees in the beginning of the new year, which we will need to develop and formulate and put more people on it. But if you are assigned to a committee or a liaison position and you discover it does not fit into your life, meaning there's no way you're ever going to make one of those meetings. Some of the committees are very well organized and they're kind of self-sufficient, but it's nice to be in contact with a liaison person that sees them at least maybe every other month, and then therefore you can kind of report. But if you're in a committee or a liaison position that does not work for you, I would just ask that you bring it to our attention and you say, what would work for you, and perhaps we can rearrange it. But this is not a penalty. You're not put in a committee or a liaison position because you've been bad. You're all very, very good. So thank you very much. Okay. Vice President Rep Cressetti, please.
Mr. President, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our town attorney, Ruth Weil, and this is her last meeting of her career here with the town of Barnstable. And it's been a pleasure working with you, Ruth, and I wish you all the best in your family life and your real life away from town hall. So thank you very much.
You're going to miss us. So we take this opportunity to wish all the staff, everyone here at Town Hall, our police department, and all the public who's listening, want to wish you a very happy and holy holiday season. Safe travels out there. And thank you very much. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.